Well, welcome back to On the Record. This is Mark Z, and I have the pleasure of being with Jonathan Friedman. Jonathan, great to have you here. We're on location at O'Brien and Levine. And Jonathan, we have the pleasure of talking to Marc Freiberger, who's founding partner of Freiberger and Washenko. Mark, great to have you on the show today.
Great to be here. Thanks.
What we'd like to know is you have an interesting background in employment law, but one of the subjects that has really become very hot as employers are making decisions is the usage of social media in hiring practices and what's allowed and what's not allowed. Can you tell us about your experience with social media?
Absolutely. It's something that's becoming so pervasive in society today that it had to affect the type of work that I do. So, for instance, now if an applicant applies for a company, there is so much information that the employer can find out about that person so readily through Facebook, through Twitter, through various social media sites. And so it's really an interesting scenario because you have someone who will present a certain way with a resume and present themselves to the employer, but the employer, if they want the real story, can just go look on Facebook. And so we've seen situations where people will post pictures of them going on vacation and doing tequila shots in Mexico, and that's something they send to their college friends, and they think it's fine, and their friends do as well. Well, if you're out and you're employing with IBM, they might not be that impressed with that type of behavior. And this is something that 10 years, 20 years ago never existed. The type of information that's available to employers is really overwhelming. And some of it can be very good, but some of it can be very bad.
Right.
And so it's, applicants have to be very careful about what they put out there because it's all free game.
And are you finding that more and more employers are scouring social media?
Yeah, I think that's a fact. I think they're doing it, although there's now a flip side to that. And the flip side is this, that if an employer looks at an applicant's information on social media and they see that they're in a protected class, whether that's their race, sexual orientation, age, disability,
right.
Suddenly the employer could potentially discriminate against that person. And so there's now employment lawyers are advising their clients to be very careful and perhaps not to look at social media, because if there's a situation where they see somebody in a protected class, that person doesn't get hired, and they can somehow show that the employer viewed their social media and they weren't given the job, but they were otherwise qualified for it, that could actually be a potential discrimination action.
You know what's interesting is that it's become a natural aspect of hiring. Jonathan and I have actually done hiring, and we've looked at, as for our businesses, we've looked at people's Facebook page, LinkedIn page, and tried to get information. And as you say, a lot of times there's some decisions made by clients of ours and our companies based on their content. But what's funny is recently, as we've done searches, because I'm in the legal staffing business, to find out more about candidates, as they put their pictures on, you can see age, as you said, you can see skin color, and you're right. If you know this information before, it can be a positive if you're looking for a diversity candidate. But at the same time, now you have some preconceived notions before even meeting the people, because their resumes may not show all this experience. But now, by looking at LinkedIn, you can really get all information sort of behind the scenes.
Exactly, and that's really potentially opening up a Pandora's box. Now again, it's difficult for a job applicant to prove that the employer actually went online and looked at this information and then took it and that's what they based their decision on. But it really is, I think we will see more of those cases on the horizon. And as technology gets more and more sophisticated and you're able to track, on LinkedIn now, you can pay for a service where it tells you who's looking at your profile and those
right.
types of things. So, the better the technology, the more able we are to track on who's viewing us, not just, putting our information out there.